Hello! So today we're going to be building a 4-level planter. Now the planter I'm going to build, I'm looking to build it, it's going to be 54 centimeters square, so that roughly speaking inside we'll have 4 squares that will be 25 centimeters square there, and I'm going to give them each maybe 15 centimeters of depth for the planter boxes, so they'll be coming up into the tiered levels as we're working up. So what I'm going to do first of all, I'm going to build a base, just a square base to build it up, just to give it a bit of height off the floor. Got the mitre saw set up, and I'm going to set that for 45 degrees so that I can mitre the corners to give it a nice clean look. So I'm going to get some wood and we'll get it measured up and we'll start a bit of cutting. Got my piece of wood here on the mitre saw, and what I'm going to do before I start, I'm just going to mitre this one at 45 degrees. It will make getting all the measurements and everything that much easier there. Get this lined up. Just going to take off the smallest amount I can, so I'm getting the laser as close to the edge as I can just to get the 45 degrees. Okay, so now that I've got that there, I'm looking to actually cut this so it's 54 centimeters. Now, because I haven't got any room over here because I've been splitting pallets, I haven't got room to turn this around. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to cut this at 55 centimeters, and then I can flip the small bit that's there around to get rid of the extra. So I'll mark the 54 at the same time. So I've got 2 marks on there, 54 and 55, and I'm going to cut at 55 here. Right, now that I've done that, I've got this one here ready for cutting the next piece, and what I'm going to do, I want both of these to mitre in the same direction, so I'm going to flip that around now, and then I can cut on the 54 centimeter mark that I'd put on earlier. I'll lose a little bit of wood doing it this way, but because I haven't got the room for turning the wood around, or rather than having to keep flipping the mitre saw so that it's going in different directions, I'm just going to lose a little bit of wood in doing this. So I'll cut the rest of these to the 55, and then I'll cut them all down to the exact dimensions that I want. I'll mark this one up. So I'll mark the 54 and the 55 mark, and I'll cut again on the 55. This last one, because I can turn this one around, I've got room here, I'm marking this one just on the 54. So I'm going to turn that around so that I get my mitres going in the same direction, so they're going to be cut in for the corners. So I'll cut that one now on my 54 mark. First piece there that's got the corners in the right direction, and I've already got these ones pre-marked here. You can see when I did that, yes, there's a little bit of wastage, but it's so small an amount I wasn't concerned. It just made it much easier for working because I hadn't got the runoff area on the other side of my mitre saw. Can get the other 2 cut, and then we're ready to get started. got two of the pieces here, so I'll lay these out. Now, just got nice thick noggin here, but it has got a nice 90-degree angle on it, so I can hold that in there and I can put these into place to make sure I've got that sat nice and easily at 90 degrees. What I'm using to fixing this, I'm just going to use the nail gun. It's not essential to have this. You can use screws or you could just knock nails in by hand. This just makes it nice and quick and easy. We'll make sure that's nice and tight together on the 90 degrees from the little noggin, and we'll get this pinned. Now with the nails, all I'm going to do, I'm going to put some in both this direction and this direction, so that will actually trap the corner so it can't go anywhere. That's the first corner done. Spin him around and we'll get another one attached. Worth just taking your time just to make sure it's all nicely seated. You don't want to have all the angles go out. And round for the last one, and if you've done it right, these should meet nicely together there. And there we are, that is the first box. I'm going to make two more of these just to give myself a bit of height to start with, and then we'll start looking at framing up so we can actually put the planter boxes in as they're going to be. I'm going to get two more of these made and we'll come back. Got the three of them made here and stacked up now. Now what I've just got a couple of little noggins that I've got cut over. They're just off cuts that are here, and what I want to do is I just want to tack these together just so they're fixed together. Now all I'm going to do very simply for this is inside of this I'm just going to tack them using the nail gun on the inside just to hold in 4 places here this together. It doesn't need to, it's all internal, it doesn't matter that these are there, no one will be able to see the inside of this. So I'm just going to grab the nail gun, switch hands, get this where I want him to go. And I'll just add 2 more on the other side just to reinforce this. What I'm going to do then, I'm going to put a base in which will be where the first one of them is going to be. The first corner I'm going to actually have that's going to have a plough in is going to be here, and the base level is going to be level with this. So I'll get the rest of this tacked together, and then I'm going to cut some pieces that are full width. I only can actually use a quarter of it, but just because I can fix it in place by making it full width. So I'll get the measurement there, I'll cut some pieces and we'll get that in once I've got the other 2 of these tacked on. Cut 4 pieces of wood here, and this is a nice snug fit to come on the inside. Now what I'm going to do, I want these to be fixed so that they are flush with the top here. So actually that one sits quite nicely. I've got some nice long nails loaded in the nail gun, and very simply I'm just going to pin through on both sides just to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. Next one in place. Again, I've got a nice snug fit on this. And there we are. That will be the base of the first planter box, which is going to go on this corner. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to make one more of these squares. Now at the minute I've used 4" wide or 100 mil wide here. I'm going to actually use a 6" depth of wood for the next one, because I need 6 inches of planting depth for this pot, so it's going to be the 150 mil wide. So I'll make one more of these squares and we'll come back and we'll have a look at how we're going to put the rest in. Made the next square here, and you can see inside here I've got the floor. So what I'm going to do now, I've measured across and it's exactly 50 centimeters going across this way. I'm going to make a piece that will go through, and I've marked the center line here, so I'm going to have it go along the center line. Again, I'll just tack it in with some nails on both sides there to hold it, and then once I've done, I'll then put another piece in that goes between here just to square off this side, and then that will be the first planter box once I've got those two pieces in there. And then I'm going to build up each level, adding an extra one in from there. So let me get those pieces cut, I'll get them tacked in place, and then we'll come back and have a look at how we're going to proceed on. Right, I've got the cross pieces in now, and this one here is going to be the first planter, so it's got a floor in there, and you can see that we've got this all in place. So what I'm next going to need to do, I'm going to need to frame up the next level up. And before that, I'm going to put a floor on this, because this is going to be the next level we're going to build. So I've cut some pieces and I'm going to put the floor in for here. So I need to just trim those down just to get them exactly right, and I'll tack those in again with nails there, and that's going to be the next bed. And once that's in place, I'm then going to need to frame it and then cut in so that this corner is left open for here. So it's going to be framed around this area to build up the next layer with the floor here, and this with the next planter here. So I'm going to get this floor in place, and I'll start cutting some of these. I'm going to use the same sort of techniques. I'm just going to mitre the corners in each of these, so these ones will be exactly the same, these corners here, and then this piece will just be shorter, so it will cut in here, and there'll be another one with a mitre coming across and mitres in here. So I'll get the pieces cut and I'll show you how I'm going to put it together. Got these first two pieces done here, so I've got the corners mitred. Now what I've found useful here, now that I'm building these layers up, is that as I'm going, I'm just attaching the layers together. Again, these are just offcuts of wood, they're going to be completely hidden, these won't be visible in any way once the whole thing is all complete. So those are just attaching the layers. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make another piece to go here, which will be mitred in the normal way that I'm doing it, and then I'm actually going to make a single piece that goes the whole way back, because this box needs a back to it, and then I'll just fill in these pieces here, which will be a much easier way of putting it all together. So I'll get this piece done, and then I'll get this one measured up, and then this will just be a nice simple box that will come off that solid piece that will run to the back. Got the next level finished here now, so we've got all of the pieces in, everything's all been cut in properly. You can see I've used the long piece here, and then this one's come flush with it. So we've got the floor in both of these, so those two are ready to go. Third one's going to be over this side here, so as we've done with the previous two, build a floor up along here, again just pinning it in here with pieces of wood, and then I'll build a frame that goes all the way around the edge, and then just put a cross piece in to seal this one. So we're starting to make good progress on this. Once I've got those pieces in, again I'll pin them in with just a few little noggins to make sure it's all solid in place. So we get some wood cut and we'll get on to the next piece. Cut the wood here for the next box. Now I had some problems yesterday, it's difficult to just line them up, so what I've done is this is a corner strap jig, so I've got one of these to try this today to see if this makes this a little bit easier for actually putting it together. Let me get these pieces stood up into the places where they need to go, and you just sit them so that each piece goes in to these corners on the strap. Put these in here, and then you just pull out any slack in the strap here. There we are, that's about right. And you pull that a little bit tight, doesn't need too much tension, and then there's a little cam that you tighten up here just to hold that in place. I'm just going to wind up a little bit of tension onto this, and then I'm going to move these up so that it sits in the middle of the wood. That's nice. Just carry on winding on a little bit more tension, and there we are. It's just slightly off level. I need to get that one levelled. There we are. And if you look at that, that is now held nicely so that I can quite easily get around it and get the nails in place, and that is much easier to just hold that in. And these, very very cheap, I only paid £5 for that one, so it's a nice easy thing for if you're going to make some boxes. Just grab the nail gun. Now that that's held, I'll just knock that one out of alignment because I just leant on it as I picked up the nail gun. There we are. Side. Now that's there, I can just wind some of the tension off, release that, just let some slack through, and that comes off nice and easily. That out of the way. There we are, we have a nice easy to make box, so that's a much easier procedure for doing that. I'm just going to put a couple of extra pins in just to make sure that that holds nice and solid. And there we are. That one is all good, so that's the next level there. So all I need to do now is I just need to build my base. So I'm going to cut some wood to this length here and make a base here, and then that will then be the base of the next level coming up. Got this now attached. In here I've now just put a floor on. Again, just a couple of little noggins there that I've off-cuts that I've used to fix that in place. So all I need to do now is just measure across here, get one piece in here to complete this one, and then just pin him through. And then we'll be complete and ready for the next level. Got the box made here, so this one is ready to go on the top. And I've cut some pieces to go in. Now with this top one, it'll be a bit more difficult to attach because there would be no room for me to put some noggins through to attach it because of the base. So what I've done is I've used much thicker wood for the base on this one, so that I can pin it in place like this, where it's actually showing up proud here, and I can have all of these fixed in place and nailed, and then put the top box on afterwards. So I've got my nail gun, I'm just going to pin these in. last middle piece here. So I've now got a nice solid floor for it, and I may have to sand these edges a little bit to get it on, but let's have a look. Yeah, I need to just sand those edges a little bit because it's about 1 millimetre too thick there. But once that's on and I've sanded that down, I'll be able to drop that on and just put some more nails through on all sides to hold that in place. Let me just go and get the sander, get those just roughed down, and then we'll have a look, see what it looks like. Let's give that a go. Right, just another little bit on that corner and then it'll be ready to go. There we are. That's gone down nice and flush, so now we can just pin it in place. And there we have it. We have a 4-tier planter. All we need to do now is I'll just get a bit of plastic just to line the inside of this. I just use just tarpaulin. It doesn't need to be anything particularly fancy, just helps to protect the wood on the inside there. But that is one 4-tier planter completed. I hope you've enjoyed.